When the user opens QuickQuote, the coverage defaults to the product with which the submission was cleared. The user has the leverage to update the coverage when needed. For industry segment, if there is a value in risk analysis, then it is carried over to QuickQuote. If the value was updated in QuickQuote, it will also update on risk analysis. The inception and expiration dates are set as defaults. There is a TBD option to give the flexibility to the user for quoting only. At the time of bind, the inception and expiration dates must be set. The default paper is Evanston. There is an admitted option for Markel American Insurance Company for the state of New York. Designated products or operation defaults to the business classification chosen on the risk analysis page. The user will be able to update as needed. The user will be able to add a class code from the drop-down. They also have the option to type or search the class description to get the desired results. The user will need to enter the exposure amount to see the base premium and total sales populate. Prior Acts has 3 options to choose from and is defaulted to inception date. Choosing retro date enables the retro date element for data selection. User can type or select a date. The user will add the adjustment factors as required and click on Calculate Price to see the grid populate. Each time the adjustment factors are updated, Calculate Price has to be clicked to see the updated calculation. From the grid, the user will then click on the desired option to see the limits generate. Generated options can be deleted by clicking on the option once again. At least one option must be selected in order to move forward with the quote. The option name field is based on the limits and deductible chosen from the grid. This is so that the user can keep track of which option is being quoted. Each occurrence limit and aggregate limit are defaulted to the limit chosen. Personal and advertising injury limit will default to each occurrence limit. Damage to premises defaults to $100,000. Premium and rate are calculated based on the limits. The user is able to adjust the premium as needed. The extended reporting period has 3 options by default: 12 months, 24 months, and 36 months. The user is able to adjust using the drop-downs. Terrorism is rejected by default. Again, the user is able to update the TRIA election as needed. Minimum earned premium is 25% by default. This field can also be adjusted. The payment plan is defaulted to audit premium type and can be updated to flat. The minimum and deposit premium is defaulted to 100%. Commission is defaulted to 20% and can also be adjusted. Policy fees are defaulted based on risk state. If the risk state is updated, the fees would reflect accordingly. The mandatory forms are populated by default. Optional forms can be searched by typing the form number and/or description and added from the forms library. The Form Fill-In, or M button, is expanded by default so that the user can easily identify the necessary fill-in information. The user is able to update the fill-in information as needed. The list of default subjectivities are checked and populated in E2. The user can either delete or add items as desired. The user also has the flexibility to reorder the subjectivities based on priority. The list of default conditions are checked and populated in E2 as well. Again, the user can either delete or add items as needed. They also have the flexibility to reorder the conditions, like the subjectivities, based on priority. Once all of the necessary information is captured in E2, the user can click on Quote Preview to view the specimen quote letter. All of the necessary information, including the form fill-in information, is displayed on the quote letter. Once everything is in order, the user will click Confirm Quote to generate the quote letter for the broker. The user has the ability to go back and click on Quick Quote again in order to edit the quote. They will click on the Edit Quote button in E2 to make necessary updates. The edit in this demo showcases the user updating the rate. The user will then confirm the quote and email the quote to the broker. Once the quote is confirmed, the user will click on Actions and Bind to bind the terms of the agreement.
Once the policy is bound in E2, the policy will flow into Primus automatically. We can search the policy and see that the policy information has now been uploaded into Primus. Premiums will all match up with what is shown in E2. You can also see the named insured information as well as the underwriter and producer info.
For policy issuance, the user will retrieve the deal in E2. The user will then click on Actions, Issue Policy. This will take the user to the list of forms and endorsements that were selected at the time of quote and bind. The user is able to preview the forms as necessary. The forms with the orange exclamation point indicate the Form Fill-In, or M button. All the information filled out using the M button during quote and bind will transfer over to policy issuance. The user can either keep that information or update the information as necessary. The user will also be able to preview the fill-in information on the actual form to the right-hand side of the screen. The user will click Submit to save. Once all forms are identified and the fill-ins are complete, the user will click Proof to view a specimen copy of the policy. When the user is ready, the user will then select Publish Complete to generate a final copy of the policy. The status on the deal summary screen will change to Issued.